Hi guys, my name is Alyssa and welcome back to my channel. We are going to discuss a really fun topic. I've seen people talk about this before. I kind of want to do it a little bit different. I actually can't believe I haven't done this before, at least back in my old past. But it is my Venus return, and so I dyed my hair myself and forgot to buy gloves. So for those who don't know, Venus, when it's your return, it means that Venus in the sky has returned to the exact situation it was in when you were born, making you do stuff like this. It makes me very reckless because my Venus is square Uranus and it's conjunct Mars. That's a thing. Look it up. Okay, I'm going to be talking about guys I've hooked up with, guys that I've really liked, guys I've dated. I mean, I guess you'll kind of learn a little bit about my love life while watching this, to see kind of, you know, what my life's about. I'm also gonna lay off completely traumatic experiences for this video to keep it light and funny and fluffy. So I'm gonna start off with Aries, okay? I can't stop with my hand. What the fuck? There is this Aries, and he's the only one that I know of that I hooked up with. I think it was my 23rd birthday. I was going to go out with this Virgo that I loved, so we'll be talking about him later, and he blew me off in the worst way possible last minute in a text message. Basically lived in the suburbs. I came all the way out for my birthday, hang out with my friend who lived in Wrigleyville, and I'm waiting for him, and I finally text him. I'm like, so what's going on? And he wrote, oh, happy B-Day. So I wrote,
fuck you.
I was sitting at my friend's house, like they had gone to sleep. It was a tiny little apartment, so the lights were off, and I was just like, my friend, the Aries, texts me, and he lives in Wrigleyville too, and he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, going over to your place. So I just remember walking through Wrigleyville, like right past Wrigley Field, and the score is like 22-1. They're kicked out of the playoffs, like the final game of their first playoff, whatever. It was great. Do I sound like I know what I'm talking about? After I got like really deep into astrology, I forgot about how to talk about sports, but I was into it at the time. So I'm walking by and I'm like, well, my life is the worst. This is a metaphor for my life. The Cubs and me, we are the same. So I go hang out with my Aries friend, and he's a douchebag. Like, he's the kind of guy that is very mean to girls, but he was nice to me. He saved my life that night in a weird way by giving me a bottle of rum and beer bottles. I accidentally threw a beer bottle at his neighbor's window, so we had to go inside. Threw up a ton, made out with him a little bit, then I passed out. So that was my Aries, my one-time Aries hookup. That's that. Now Taurus, normally I hate Taurus guys. Like, I cannot with Taurus men. There's been like I want to say a handful, but I mean, is my life that long to actually have a handful of Taurus guys that I like? I don't think it is. I think there's two that I like. I never hooked up with one of them. And the other one, okay, he's kind of an Aries-Taurus cusp. I actually had this crush on him from when I was about 17 to when I was 20. The people that he hung out with really didn't like me because I knew him from church, and all the girls he hung out with, they just thought that I wasn't a good enough Christian, I think. So I was never allowed to like hang out with them, even though we kind of knew of each other. So I really liked him. He gave me the time of day, I guess you could say. Like, he wasn't a dick. That just kind of made me, you know, like him more. I didn't really think he liked me. There's no way. Okay. No way. Because of how much the people that, you know, he hung out with did not like me. And as far as I was concerned, they were right about me. So I was pretty sure that he knew that I was off limits, okay, if he wants to go to heaven. I'm like 100% sure he knew that. So when I was 20, he kind of lived near me, and I'm at Best Buy getting a CD because that's how old I am to play in my CD player in my Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo with an inline 6. I'm checking out, and he looks at the CD and he's like, that's a really good one. And I was like, holy shit, Taurus guy. I was just like really excited. He starts talking to me, and then he asked me out. So I went on a date with him. But the problem is that there's a Sagittarius I will talk to you about later who fucked me up. And at that point, it's not like I was ever prepared for this guy that got giddy every time I saw him, like asked me out at a date. And so I was 100% sure it wasn't a date. And I know that sounds like weird looking back at it now, but at the time I was like, he likes God, I'm a heathen, nobody likes me, I'm a shitty person, I just dropped out of college. Like, I met him at the date and I was so nervous I couldn't even talk. And it's weird, you know, can you imagine me not talking? I just sat there like, and when I talked it was quiet, and he just told me that God had told him that somebody broke my heart. I almost cried, and I just left and was like,
wow, even God's ruining this date for me.
So like 4 years later, I was working out and he came up to me. He's like, hey, listen. I was like, hey. And he just gets there. So I'm about done. I go leave and I'm driving to the bank, and I turn to my friend and I'm like, I gotta go back there. I gotta fix this. I gotta go tell him my heart and soul has been for him throughout everybody. You know, I was just being really romantic. And she's like, you know what? I was feeling the exact same thing. So I just like turned around, drove back, saw him, he's walking out, and I was like,
hey, I came back to see you because I haven't seen you in a long time.
Right? And he looks at me and he's like,
oh, hey. What the fuck, are you stalking me?
That was dumb.
It took me about 3 months to 10 years to get over that moment in my life.
Later I found out that he was dating his future wife at the time.
Whatever.
Gemini. There was a summer when I dated 2 Geminis, one right after the other. The first one, I was 21 and he was 34. The other one was 20. So I dated the 34-year-old for a month, and we had a really good time hanging out with all of his 34-year-old friends, and we went to Cubs games together, and it was really fun. Then he kept acting like I was taking advantage of him, and I really didn't understand that because I'm like, I don't even know how to go on dates with people at this point. I'm like so bad at it. My dating history was like so little. He was taking me places and buying me stuff, and I was like, I guess this is how people date. I don't know. So I just let him. Okay. And there are these purple thornless roses from the movie Bed of Roses. And I always felt like I was going to know if a guy was it if he sent me those without me telling him. Of course, I get home one day and they're fucking in my room because a flower delivery man brought them while I was gone. And I was like, holy fuck, this guy just bought me perfect roses. Does that mean I'm supposed to marry him? Like, I was very concerned about that, so I stopped talking to him after that and realized that my dreams were stupid and that everything I knew was wrong. The second Gemini I dated, what kind of ended it with him was I started talking about going back to college because I had dropped out before, and I was like, I want to be a lawyer. And he was drinking coffee. He was like,
but you have to be smart for that.
So at that time I was training for a marathon, and so I just wanted to get really hammered. And I'm out with my friends, and he texts me and he's like, if you're getting drunk like this, you're not gonna be able to run your marathon. And I was like, and I'm never talking to him again.
I don't know where it went so wrong. He was pretty cute up until those horrible moments.
I never dated a Cancer, but the only one night stand I've ever had was a Cancer. And he was so cute. I was actually on a weird break with my Aquarius boyfriend. I was 24. And my boyfriend really didn't like me. He went on a break with me. I was pretty sure he was breaking up with me, but like wanted me to be the one to say it. Like, you can't fire me, I quit. And I was like, oh, I'm not a quitter though, but I should have. So I'm getting hammered like all the time. And again, because that's how I deal with things, I just get really drunk. I'm hanging out at this house party, and he's cute, and he's talking to me, and he asked me to stay with him. And we started making out, and I had sex with him, and then he drove me home. And it was so weird because he goes, what do I do now? Like, and I said, well, I guess you know where I live, so sure, you'll come to call if you want to. And he never did. But I knew, like, leaving, I was like, I'm not gonna see him again. Him being a Cancer and me kind of giving up to him while I was on a break from my boyfriend was one of those things where he's just like,
yeah, that's not the girl that my mom is gonna like.
And he was right. Leo is hilarious because I like love Leos, you know, but I've never dated one. And everyone, I think they think that I have, or that one broke my heart, or that I was like obsessed with Leo. I've never really been obsessed with Leo. One of them I started to kind of date, but he kind of had a girlfriend, so then that never happened. And that's just what I feel about Leos. Like, I remember he was driving me to a party and we were late because he always came fashionably late. I had to go back to his house. I was sitting on his bed and he came out like in a towel and sat next to me and stuff, and I was just like sitting there. I really didn't know what was supposed to be happening. If a guy is not upfront with me, I have no idea what is happening till after the fact. And I guess I was like supposed to figure it out. Like, I was just like, okay, he's in his towel. Okay, I'll just sit here next to him. Yeah, I know. Virgo is the guy that I lost my virginity to, who broke my heart a million times into a million pieces over years. The Virgo one was like what I had to go through to have any confidence in myself whatsoever, and the only way I got it was through dying 1,000 deaths. I don't know, I just liked him so much. Even though he owned like 1,000 of the exact same polo shirt in different colors. And he eventually, blew me off on my birthday, but that wasn't even the end. After I hooked up with the Aries, he blew me off. He moved to Colorado. He comes back. I'm off work. I'm at a 4 a.m. bar in Chicago, and like I run into his friend, right?
I know you.
I know you, Alyssa. Hi.
Oh, you remember me.
I look behind him, and there's the Virgo standing there. And he was a dick, but I still tried to kiss him, and people saw, and they said it was embarrassing. It wasn't. That much later, when he decided to purposefully meet up with me when I was with mutual friends so that he could take me back and we could have sex. It took forever to get over him, and I worked really hard on it, trying to date other people. So one of the people that actually I tried to date but failed because my friend actually really liked him was a Libra. He was a lot like me. Obviously, we're both Libras. He liked me a lot, but my friend liked him, and she kind of called dibs on him, and he just did not like her, and it was very obvious towards everybody, but it didn't matter because she was my friend, called dibs. And then one day we're at a bar for like a going away party, and he just starts making out with me in front of everybody, and she saw. So everyone called me a slut. I had like a chemical attraction towards him, so it was hard not to. And then he took me back, and instead of actually really hooking up with him, we made out for a little while. Then he got high and I passed out. I think we made out like one more time, and he just asked me like, Alyssa, why are you doing this? Like, why don't you just want to be with me? He's like, I really like you. And I was like,
Dibs.
Scorpio. I actually married the only Scorpio that I'm sure I hooked up with, because I might have met other Scorpios, because a lot of times if I'm talking to a guy at a bar, he ends up being a Scorpio, and I don't know why. And I used to hang out at a lot of bars. That's why these bar stories keep coming up, because that was my heyday. Otherwise, when I wasn't at bars, there was no dating apps back when I was younger. It was like church, I get kicked out of church, I start working in a restaurant, I go to bars. I met a lot of Scorpios. Probably made out with a couple of them, I don't know. But my Scorpio husband, he was my boss, and right when he found out I broke up with my boyfriend, who's the Aquarius, he immediately just kind of like latched on and was like, we hooked up the first night we went out, and then he invited me to his house every day. Scorpios like to like claim ownership, so he pretty much was like his circle, and then I've been with him ever since. And that's the thing about the Scorpios, that they stick by your side no matter what hell you go through. And I think that's probably why it was meant for me to be with the Scorpio over, the Virgo and the Taurus and anyone else. The way that the Scorpio makes me feel over others. So then let's get to Sagittarius. One Sagittarius broke my heart before I was 20. He's 4 years older than me, and he tried to date me when I was 15, so he was 19, and I wasn't slutty enough for him. So he was kind of into drugs and stuff when I was 15. And then he comes back. He's all this reformed Christian, loves God, whatever. Starts kind of courting me, right? But like, I don't think he knows how to, because immediately like he starts getting mad that couldn't touch me. And I was like, dude, like, I was an 18-year-old virgin. I was a virgin until I was 22. I think people kind of thought something about me. Like I said, like church people, they thought I was sort of rebellious in some way, and I wasn't. So I kind of think that he liked me in the first place because he thought he was gonna get to have sex with me. But it was weird how he would just come in and out of my life. But at the end of it all, he didn't go to this wedding with me that I invited him to. Instead, he just started hitting on my friend, and then they hooked up right away. He told me he was going to take it slow with me. I told him, I was like, we were friends before this, and then you just kind of wanted to date me, and then when I didn't put out, you left me. And then he started yelling at me and telling me that I was an evil devil who had emotional problems and didn't know who I was, and he needed to be with somebody who was like strong in their faith. And because he was a big Christian guy, I really felt like for him, like I wanted to learn. So I really listened to his teachings, and I fell like for his spiritual power, I guess you could say. And then he turned out to just be a liar and a fraud, and the only thing he wanted from me was sex in the end. And I didn't even really realize that. Like at the end of it, I just felt like he was like right about how bad I was. And so that's when that Taurus came into my life. I got my heart handed to me. Those were like the last two religious guys, the Sagittarius and the Taurus, that I loved in some way, shape, or form. I also dated two Sagittariuses, and like a few years later, and one of them wouldn't let me break up with him. Like he asked me out, and then I was like, holy shit, that's wrong. I don't want to be with him. And then I tried to break up with him 3 times. He wouldn't let me. And then finally he gave me flowers, and he said he was letting me go. And I was like, what the fuck? Why? It's like women's rights never happened. And then the other Sagittarius, his mom did not like me. She would stare at me like I was the devil. I'm in his house, and I'm meeting his mother, and she looks at me, and she won't touch me, and she goes, get that fucking girl out of my house. So I had to go wait in the street. I wasn't allowed on their yard. I had to wait in the street until he came out and picked me up and drove me home. Granted, I'm like 23 or 24 at this point, and he's 20. He lives with his parents. It was weird. So then the Capricorn. So when I was 19, I was in Madison, Wisconsin, at Madison College or University with my friend. We used to go to parties all the time because I dropped out of college, so I would just go to her college. And it was Halloween, and he was dressed like a banana, and he was really cute, and we made out. And then he called me the next day and asked me if he could show me around Madison. So he did, and he ended up being really cute. And I was like, oh.
He was kind of like, he's like tall, dark, and handsome, right?
But he was a Capricorn. He talked, and everything he said, I was bored of. I almost fell asleep talking to him. He was so nice. I lived in the Chicago suburbs, right? So he came down to me to talk to me, like hang out, and he met my mom and my dad, and they were just like, he is perfect. You don't let him get away, or you're no longer our daughter, basically. And I don't think my parents have ever recovered from this. Like, he was an engineer, he was super cute, and when I made out with him, I hated it. I tried so hard, and then I just couldn't. My life could have been really different if I liked him. Like, yeah, I'm with this guy, he's really cute, he's an engineer, no big deal. I can't stand him. Okay, now the Aquarius. He was just a liar, and he didn't like me. We dated for like 2 months, and then he broke up with me because I was drunk and I said, I love you, bye. And he took that as I was being serious. I'm like, can it be an accident? And he was like, no, it's Freudian. But what really happened was he was my real first like guy that I just decided to date. Like, he really liked me, so I was like, okay. I just finished dating one of the Sagittariuses, and his mom thinks I'm the devil, so let's just date the Aquarius. So that's what people do when they get a boyfriend. It's not because it's like the biggest romance of their life. It's because they just say, fuck it. Turns out I could make anything work. But he found out that his ex-girlfriend from high school broke up with her boyfriend, and he found out the day after my birthday. So like 3 days later, he just breaks up with me. I was like, everything was fine. It was like perfect. A freaking month later, he tries to start dating me again, and we are like kind of dating. He for some reason couldn't figure out how to work Facebook and like make us Facebook official, because he said he was bad at technology, which I knew wasn't true because I had already dated him and he already made it Facebook official. So he wasn't like, it's not like you like lose that knowledge. I just kind of let it happen. And then he wanted to go on a break with me after a couple months. I mean, I just knew he didn't like me. I think I wanted him to just tell me that he didn't like me. He says he wants to go on a break with him. I wrote him an email during the break. Like, I like you. I want to be with you. I don't understand. Like, this isn't fair. Like, it was a pathetic.
I wrote him a pathetic email.
he wrote back and was like, no, you're just too crazy right now. We really need to take a break. So, of course, then I had a one-night stand with the Cancer. And he comes back and he acts like he thought about it. Now he really wants to be with me. And I was like, oh, really? You thought about it? And then lastly, Pisces. I've never dated or hooked up with a Pisces as far as I know. My parents are both Pisces. I have a Pisces ascendant. There's like no way I'm that stupid. I will talk to you later, guys. Bye.